welcome to our February briefing. We're really excited to have you here today. My name is Julie Eller, and I am the manager of grassroots advocacy for the Arthritis Foundation. I am so excited to be here with all of you and talk a little bit about our December activities and what we've got ahead for this month and next. We've got a full agenda today, so I won't spend too much time on introductions, but thank you all for being here tonight. Let's get going. Okay, so to recap from December, we just had 2 activities for you guys to really work on throughout the month. And the first was to write to your state elected officials and introduce yourself, share your story, and our new state fact sheets. If you're new to the program, you can still accomplish this task. Stick around for our orientation for new junior ambassadors after this call. Just stay on your line and we'll get started with that just after the conclusion of this first slide deck. The other activity that we had in December was to test out our new Action Center on arthritis.org. Now, our Action Center is a great tool for anybody who's choosing to advocate, and especially for you guys, because it gives you the opportunity to learn about your elected officials, identify different pieces of legislation that might be active in your communities, but also to write to your elected officials directly on arthritis.org. It takes the guesswork out of finding their websites and looking for their email addresses independently. We can help you facilitate that. Again, if you haven't used the Action Center, we'll talk a little bit more about that during the Junior Ambassador orientation after this slide deck. So please stick around if that sounds good to you. But for now, those were our December activities. So thank you for taking action. Thank you for really making it a priority to introduce yourself and start to build that relationship with your state elected officials. If you have completed those December activities, it's important that you report your activity so that we know and can track your progress throughout the program. So if you log on to our website and get into the Advocacy tab, you can see over here that there's an opportunity for junior ambassadors to report their activities. We've updated this to be reflective of our winter activities, which were those state official emails and the activities we're going to talk about later today for February and March. One final reminder before we really dig into our content for today. Our webinar series will continue through this year. Our next webinar will be on April 17th, and I'm really excited about that webinar. For those junior ambassadors who are able to attend the Platinum Ambassador Assembly this March, they are going to be helping to really drive the content, present, and choose the advocacy activity that we're going to accomplish during this webinar. So please mark your calendars. It'll take place at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on April 17th. And then we'll have our following webinars on June 12th and one last one for the ambassador year on August 14th. So please mark your calendars. We've got an exciting year ahead, and especially on April 17th, we're going to have a really fun webinar plan. So please join us. So one of the things that I want to do today is really give you guys an opportunity to learn about how awareness campaigns can make a difference for our legislative activity. And I want to dig in a little bit and talk about why our introduction emails and messages to our elected officials are impactful and how we can really use awareness campaigns like our social media Advocate for Arthritis campaign to make those messages stand out even more. So we're going to call this section Voices Up, Barriers Down. And our lesson for this month is really going to be focused at driving the impact that you make through social media awareness. So let's get started. First, let's review what introductions making an impact what impact introductions can make, So our first activity for our Junior Ambassador season this year was to email our federally elected officials, our members of Congress, and send them our video that talks about the pediatric rheumatology shortage. In those emails, you were tasked with introducing yourselves, talking about your disease experience with arthritis, and really making a point to let your elected official know that it's your job to be the voice for kids with arthritis and that you want to be a part of their understanding of this disease. The following month, we did a similar activity for our state elected officials. And instead of sending them our pediatric rheumatology video, we sent them our state fact sheet, which will give a full overview of how arthritis impacts the members of their community living in their state. And these are two great actions. Making that first contact with your elected official is the beginning of a really, really important and rewarding relationship. But it doesn't stop there. Now, I was really excited to hear from some of you that you received responses back from your elected officials. And that is something that we should all be proud of. Getting that first response is wonderful, but it opens the door for you to make that second ask, to go the distance and talk about another part of why your arthritis story should be important to them. So we're going to shift gears a little bit from writing letters this time, and we're going to try to make a new point of contact with our elected officials, and that's going to be through social media. Now, don't worry. If you don't have your own social media account, that's A-okay. We, on our team, all have social media accounts that are associated with the foundation, and so there's always going to be opportunities for you to advocate through those platforms, whether you have a personal account or not. So let's talk a little bit about why our introductions are only the first step and how we can really use our tools and resources around us to make a greater impact. So I wanted to talk about this and frame this with the conversation that our impact of one letter is simply that, one letter. Now, it can have a really big impact or maybe just a small one. But if we continue to send those letters, if we continue to make that outreach, we can continue to grow our impact. And I think that the most important thing is that you can see that a number of letters from a number of people, if we coordinate our efforts all together, can really make a large impact. I used a pay it forward graphic on this slide because let's say you were to reach out to 3 of your friends and say, hey, I am advocating for arthritis, and I'm going to reach out to my elected official in New Jersey, and you guys are my friends who live in New Jersey, so you're going to do the same thing. And together, we're going to reach out to our senators and ask them to be our champion on Capitol Hill. Maybe we ask them to join the caucus. Maybe we ask them to support our pediatric rheumatology bill. Or maybe we just ask them to be aware that children have arthritis too. But if I do it along with 3 of my friends, and they ask 3 of their friends to do the same thing, we make an impact that is so much greater than if we do it all alone. And there's something that's really great about awareness campaigns that can really make this impact more tangible. So maybe you don't have 3 friends in your home state that you could ask to help advocate for arthritis with you. Maybe you do, and that's fantastic. But something that's great about our Junior Ambassador program is that we have each other to lean on when we want to raise awareness. So if we make a coordinated effort with ourselves, we can really raise awareness in a big way. So we're going to talk, like I've mentioned, about social media today and why it's such an amazing tool to make an impactful change for our community. And I wanted to provide you with a real, tangible piece of evidence that could show you that this is an effective way to make change. And I thought there was no better way to talk about it than through our juvenile arthritis patient, Danny Hiley. And Danny Hiley is a really amazing child. She is 9 years old. And she is a beneficiary of an insurance program called CHIP. It's the Children's Health Insurance Program, and it offers health insurance to nearly 9 million American children. That means it helps 9 million kids get access to the care that they need, have the medications that they need, and really have those have help managing their arthritis. So Danny was diagnosed with JIA when she was 18 months old. And when she shortly after that, she lost her ability to walk. And she wasn't able to afford her medications until she was enrolled in CHIP. CHIP was the reason that Danny could access her miracle medications, and they helped her regain her ability to walk. Now, something kind of troubling happened in Congress earlier this year, in September, or earlier in 2017. In September, Congress allowed funding for this program to expire. And that meant that the whole program was in danger of ending coverage for those children. So there was a concerned group of people, CHIP beneficiaries, health policy advocates, advocates of arthritis, and the like, who really wanted to make a difference. And one of the things that they did, our ambassadors took part in. We had a social media campaign called #SaveChip, and we shared stories about what a vital resource this program is. But something else also happened. Danny's doctor wrote to their senator, Senator Gaines. He's a Republican from Montana. And in her letter, she really talked about how Danny was impacted by CHIP, and why CHIP, her access to this program, was the difference between her having the medication that would allow her to walk and her losing that ability. Now, coupled with the social media attention surrounding this issue, we got the attention of Senator Gaines. And so much of that was thanks to this concerned and concerted group of people. So Senator Gaines took to the floor in Congress when they were debating children's health coverage. And he actually shared Danny's story. And I have a video of that, so I'm going to play that for you now. And I think it's so important to really listen here, because what Senator Gaines talks about, his expert opinion, is all based on Danny's story. So here we go. Give me one sec.
Will deal with the funding for CHIP runs out.
Here we go.
But they are committed to caring for their son no matter what. Mr. President, that is why I support a 6-year reauthorization of CHIP. Let me remind you another reason. This is Danielle. She's 9 years old, and she lives in Deer Lodge, Montana. When she was just 18 months old, she suddenly lost the ability to walk. Now, Cindy and I are parents of 4 children. I can't imagine a more frightening moment as a parent. You know, an 18-month-old child, suddenly they lose their ability to walk. Well, she was diagnosed with a form of juvenile arthritis. You don't think about arthritis affecting an 18-month-old child. This is a disease that causes pain, swelling, stiffness of joints, as well as vision problems. Thankfully, Danielle was started on a medication, a twice-a-month injection that controls the swelling and inflammation. And because of that, she can walk and she can even run again. But these injections are expensive. To pay outright for just 1 month costs over $6,000. And last summer, for 3 months, Danielle was unable to get the injection. She stopped walking. She no longer could go to school. Her mom had to carry her through the house. When Danielle was approved for Montana's CHIP program, she was able to go to the doctor. She got Danielle on another medication, an infusion this time. She's now back at school, running around, to quote Mom, like a kid that doesn't have any problems. Danielle loves to study math and science, and when she grows up, of all things, her dream is to be a doctor for kids. Without CHIP, Danielle's family would be unable to afford the medication she needs. Without CHIP, Danielle wouldn't be walking.
So that was Senator Gaines, and he spoke to his colleagues in Congress, and he shared Danny's story. it was really amazing to see, and we're so glad that we have a video that showcases this moment. Because shortly after Senator Daines and many other members of Congress took to the floor to talk about why CHIP was so important, there was a vote to reauthorize the program. So now CHIP is something that we don't have to worry about for a number of years. Originally, it was reauthorized for 6 years of full funding, and recently it was extended for another couple of years. So now millions of children will have access to the care that they need, including Danny. It's a great success, but it didn't just stop there. The buzz that was created around this story was a good one, a great one. And Senator Daines really looked and was touched by Danny's story. She made an impact on him. So much so that he actually invited Danny and her mom to come to Washington, D.C. to see the State of the Union address. So these addresses, they only happen once a year. The president talks to the members of Congress and lets them know what his legislative priorities are going to be for the following year. And Danny and her mom got to be in attendance. This is something that we were really excited to see, because what an amazing opportunity. Danny and her mom came to Washington, D.C. They got to tour the White House. They got to see different monuments. And most importantly, at least for us, was that Danny and her mom got to talk to Senator Daines about issues that were important to people with arthritis. Beyond CHIP, they talked with him about the Ensuring Children's Access to Specialty Care Act. They talked to him about appropriations for research to find a cure. And throughout, they were featured on Senator Daines' social media. You can see here a tweet from Senator Daines about Danielle being one of the 24,000 Montana children who depend on CHIP. He used this tweet ahead of the conversation that he had with his colleagues on Capitol Hill. But then they bumped into each other on the plane when Danny was flying out to Montana for the State of the Union address. And Senator Daines put a picture of them on Snapchat, welcoming her to the President's State of the Union address. You can also see her here in the middle. This is a picture of Danny sitting behind Senator Daines' desk, talking to him about arthritis issues and why and how he can help all of the people in our community. Now, this situation is an incredibly unique one. I am not saying that every time we go on social media to promote a legislative action that we're going to get invited to come to Washington, D.C., to come to see the State of the Union. This is once in a lifetime, but it is a great example and a recent example of how we can advocate and amplify our messages on social media and beyond. And so that's really the impetus behind what we're going to be doing for our February activity. We're going to be using social media as our platform to amplify our message, to take our pay it forward model and turn it into a pay it forward tweeting model or Facebook model or anything like that. So what we're going to do is really look to make sure our personal call to actions, our letters to our members of Congress, our actions for our virtual assembly are followed up with important dialogue on social media. These things are easy. We give our friends, our network, our family the opportunity to say, hey, like, your message rocks. I agree with you. Let's do this together. We are joined in one movement. I'm excited to work with you, all on social media. And we have the opportunity to do that in support of our members at the Assembly this year. But we want to talk about why it's so impactful. Why is social media such an amazing tool when we talk about advocacy? Well, over 97% of Congress is using Twitter. It's a great way to reach almost all of them. Most senators and representatives use social media to incorporate it into their decision-making. Almost a majority of Capitol Hill offices report that even a single constituent commenting on social media was considered influential for them. So that means if you have a member of Congress that you want to join the Arthritis Caucus, You can just put one tweet on social media, and them seeing that you're a constituent can help encourage them, influence them to join the Arthritis Caucus. Some other stats that are exciting. 80% of Hill offices state that less than 30 posts about a particular issue will cause the office to pay attention, change their mind, encourage them to support or reject a piece of legislation. Now that's an exciting one. We talked about how it takes a small group of concerted citizens to make a change. Well, less than 30 posts, not even 30 unique users, but 30 posts about a particular issue will cause an office to pay attention. So the more vocal we can be on social media, the more likely it is that our elected officials will listen to what we have to say. Another key part that I don't know if everybody knows, but many of the staffers who work on Capitol Hill are pretty young. They're people who are in their 20s and their 30s, and many of them grew up using social media. They are able to critically look at their social media accounts and know what is a really constructive comment or a constructive tweet, a constructive Facebook message versus one that's kind of just noise. It means that the messages that you send can be really impactful. Social media gives Hill offices a closer look at what's going on back in their district, but more importantly, social media gives Hill offices a closer look at what's most important to you. If you can send an introduction letter to a member of Congress, like we did 2 activities ago, and then follow up with them with a post on social media, that's 2 touch points that say, I'm dedicated to being in contact with you, to raising awareness with you so that we can build a brighter future for people with arthritis. Okay, I've built up a serious amount of hype by this point, so let's talk about February's assignment. This February, we're going to be working to do an Advocate for Arthritis social media campaign. And it's particularly exciting this year because it's going to be an activity that our junior ambassadors, our advocates, our ambassadors, and our platinum ambassadors all take part in together. So we are telling you guys about it first, and as we go through the rest of this month, we're going to be using our blog, our emails, our webinars to really promote this opportunity for everyone. But you guys get to hear about it first. So in March, on March 12th and March 13th, we're hosting this really cool event. We've talked about it before. It's called our Platinum Ambassador Assembly. And the theme is to be unstoppable against arthritis. And so over the next few weeks, our job is to prepare to connect with elected officials on social media on March 13th. Now this date is significant. We're choosing March 13th because that's the day our constituents, our assembly attendees will be going to Capitol Hill. Now we can't all come to the Platinum Ambassador Assembly this March, but we can all help to amplify those messages of our attendees. So how are we going to do it? Well, on March 13th, our attendees will go to Capitol Hill and meet with their members of Congress and their staff in person. We're going to create excitement around our Hill visits and Hill meetings on social media with our hashtag Advocate for Arthritis. And the way we're going to do it is by creating signs, and I'll show you an example in just a few moments, creating a sign on an 8x11 sheet of paper, on a poster board, whatever you have at home, take it out, and you'll create a sign that says, I hashtag Advocate for Arthritis because, and then you'll share a bit of your story in a short and sweet message that can be easily read on a poster board. Now these can be clever, these can be short and sweet, they can be really well thought out and about a particular issue, they can be broad, it's up to you. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be releasing blogs and emails and webinars, like we said before, with lots of examples of things that you can say in your message. One that I made today says, I #advocate for arthritis because patients deserve a say in the decision-making process. Another one that I was thinking about was, I advocate for arthritis because there is a shortage of pediatric doctors that can treat children with arthritis. #kids get arthritis too. So our goal is to create these signs. And along with these signs, we will take a picture of ourselves holding them. Our goal is to make sure that the writing is legible and clear so that our picture can really say 1,000 words. So what's our picture checklist? To prepare our picture, we're going to create our sign that says, I #advocate for arthritis because. We'll include our message. One sentence, large and legible, to tell people why you advocate for arthritis. Then you can have your parent or your friend or your mirror, if you want to take a selfie, take your picture holding your sign. The most important thing about these pictures is that you can read all of the words in the picture. The next step will be to post these images online. We'll want to post them either on your own social media accounts. If you feel comfortable with it and you don't have a social media account, you can send your images to me, and our team will take care of posting them from one of our Twitter accounts. Or if you don't want to post on social media, you can help us create buzz instead by finding the email address for your elected official and sending your picture directly to their inbox. So our goal is to have these really cool pictures. I advocate for arthritis because, and we're going to send them at the same time on March 13th. Our ultimate goal is to get the #AdvocateForArthritis trending. If we can, all of our efforts on March 13th to amplify our message will really go the distance. So our goal will be to draft up a post that goes along with your image that can reiterate your message and make your intentions clear. One tip that I have for you is to tag the Arthritis Foundation in your post. If you can, we'll be able to pick up your tweet or your Facebook message or your Instagram picture and like it, retweet it, amplify it on Facebook, and make sure it really gets the attention that it deserves. So what that means is, over the next few weeks, you'll be tasked with thinking about what you want to write on your sign. How do you want to phrase your sentence? Why do you advocate for arthritis? Your goal should be to think honestly and answer succinctly so that you can make your sign that makes an impact. We're going to ask our advocates and our ambassadors who are staying home from the assembly to do the same. Now, if you are attending the assembly, we'll have a special opportunity for you to take your picture on March 13th in front of the Capitol building. So the Capitol Dome will be your backdrop for any of these images. For those of you who are not attending, the message will be this: tagging your elected officials in the Arthritis Foundation, saying, I #advocate for arthritis because, your personal reason, and then posting that online. If not, if you are attending the event, you'll be able to say, use your image and say to your elected officials that you're going to meet with that day, hey, I am really looking forward to seeing you today at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, this is why I advocate for arthritis. Or if your meetings took place earlier that day, you can say, hey, I really enjoyed meeting with you today. Here's a reminder about why I advocate for arthritis. It's a great way to follow up with elected officials and really make sure that impact goes far. Here's an example post. This is one that I made today. I took this picture in my office, so it was a little bit blurry. It's not the ideal example. Your example, hopefully, will be a little bit more clear than this one. Maybe your font is a little bit bigger, but I wanted to show you what I mean. So this says, I #advocate for arthritis because patients deserve a say in the decision-making process. In it, I tagged my senators, Cory Booker and Senator Menendez in New Jersey, who I know New Jersey Assembly attendees will be meeting with. You can, and then in my tweet, I say, look out for our advocates and ambassadors on Capitol Hill this March 13th. So this is the kind of post that we're looking for. And we're excited to roll this out with you guys, hear your questions, and be able to address them in our follow-up emails, webinars, and blogs. So here are our steps. I'm just going to reiterate one more time. 1, I'm going to send you a reminder email with all of the directions in the first week of March so that you have a timely reminder about what we're doing. You should start thinking about and brainstorming what you want your picture to look like. What do you want it to say? And what do you want to say in your post? The next thing is to mark your calendar. Set a calendar notification right now. Set an alarm for March 13th to remind you that at 12 p.m. noon, we're going to post or start posting our Advocate for Arthritis images online. And that's really it. It's an easy ask. It should be a lot of fun, and it's a great way to amplify that message. So at this point, I'm going to pause for questions. If you have any, you can type them in the chat feature or in the Q&A feature, or if you want to ask them live, you can hit #6 to unmute your line. Okay, without any, I invite anyone who's new to our program to stay on for our orientation. And I remind you that our next junior ambassador briefing will be on April 17th. Mark your calendars for March 13th for our virtual assembly. We're really excited to have you. And if you have any questions following the briefing, shoot me an email, give me a call, or send me a tweet. My contact information is right here. We're going to take a brief break, just 1 or 2 minutes. Let everybody who's leaving get off the line, and anyone who's staying, stick around for our orientation.